Vicente Luque versus Randy Brown takes place in the feature fight of the main card of UFC Fight Night Brunson versus Shahbazyan this weekend, and let's be real, it's the people's co-main event. I care way more about Luque versus Brown than I do for Calderwood versus Maia. Let's just be real and get that out of the way straight away. Luque versus Brown is the most interesting fight on the card, maybe other than Venata versus Green, other than Brunson versus Shahbazyan. I mean, this one's right up there. Everyone's paying attention to Luque on this card. We'll see if he can get a win against Randy Brown. At first, when he signed this fight, I didn't quite understand it. But then I realized that, hang on a second, Vicente Luque wants to stay active. He wants to stay getting paid. He wants to improve his contract. And he's still a young man in his career at 28 who still is nowhere near his prime. I kind of like this win. He wants to go again against the ranked opponents in the division, and if he beats Randy Brown, he'll have a shot against a ranked opponent. I think this is a very good move by Vicente Luque. It's a very favorable matchup as well, but Randy Brown is very, very dangerous. Has beaten guys like Wale Alves, who has wins over Colby Covington. I know Colby Covington was injured, but still, Wale Alves is no joke. Has a big KO over Sergio Moraes. Randy Brown has some good top 25 contenders on his resume. Bryan Barberena, it was a close fight between him and Barberena, but he was just kind of getting the better of it for the first 2 rounds. Finishes in the third with knee and punches. Exactly the same way as Luque did, but Luque was having a bit of trouble with Bryan Barberena, which makes this matchup so interesting, because the Luque versus Barberena fight, if you remember it, I know Luque had some really good moments, and it wasn't a complete shutout performance, but Bryan Barberena was winning that fight, in my opinion. I mean, he finished round strong. He was landing with a lot of volume. I just don't think that Randy Brown has the volume heavy style that's necessary to beat a guy like Vicente Luque. I think with Vicente Luque, you need to fight with pressure. You need to kind of get in his face a little bit, but stay safe. Pick apart at him, make him shell up, because when Vicente Luque is taking punches, he commits to taking punches. And that's something I want to talk about in this video as well quickly, because a lot of people say that Vicente Luque has an amazing chin, and he does. He has a really good chin, but Vicente Luque also, he goes into damage-taking mode that a lot of these other fighters don't. Like, you'll see a lot of fighters get KO'd because they're moving around, they're in the middle of a combination and they get hit with a big punch and they go out cold. Vicente Luque, when you are beginning your attack, he shells up and he braces himself for damage taking. Teddy Atlas said this in boxing once as well. The guys who showboat and move around and dodge everyone's punches, it's only really effective if you're throwing back as well. And he doesn't really give credit to guys that just start dodging a bunch of punches but don't throw back, because they're entering a defensive mode. And it's a lot easier to do that and dodge punches and take punches when you're in that mode. And I feel like Vicente Luque does exactly that. Once he's getting hit with a few too many punches, he commits to getting hit by those punches and waits for his big opening. But other than that, he stays shelled up. I just don't think that Randy Brown has the volume and pressure style enough to beat Vicente Luque. He likes to stay at range. That's not really going to work in this fight, because even though Randy Brown is way taller than Vicente Luque, standing at 6'3", Vicente Luque's 5'11". I said in my full card prediction video that Luque was 5'9". Didn't even comprehend it. He's no way the same height as Conor McGregor, but Google just gets the heights wrong because they're only $1 billion company. You can't expect them to know how to measure things. But Luque's 5'11", big guy for the division, huge head. He's got big hands as well. Like, he's big in different ways. Like, his dimensions aren't big, but he's got a giant head, giant hands, long arms as well for his size as well at 76-inch reach. Randy Brown's only got a 78-inch reach. Randy Brown to win is going to have to utilize a lot of his front kick. I like Randy Brown's front kick. He's got really good kicks from range. Maybe chew apart the legs of Luque for a round or so, ease himself into the fight. But I feel like when you're playing the range game with Luque, we've seen Luque do well against taller opponents before. We saw it most commonly against Jalen Turner. That was a very similar style fight. I give Randy Brown more credit than I do Jalen Turner, but, Luque, I just feel like it's going to catch him. I think he's going to get him out of there. And you look at Luque's resume. I know Randy Brown has had a good resume as well. Maybe we can go through it a little bit here. Beating Mickey Gall by decision. I mean, that win doesn't look too impressive. Maybe if Gall went on to win all of his other fights. I mean, Diego Sanchez beat Mickey Gall, so I don't really know how much I give that credit for. Bilal Muhammad, Randy Brown lost to him. Nico Price, Randy Brown lost to him. Luque has wins over Nico Price. I'm not saying that that's the reason Luque's going to win, but it gives us a good idea of what level Randy Brown is at and what level Vicente Luque is at. Because when you look at Vicente Luque's recent resume, people have this opinion of the Wonderboy fight, like Wonderboy was completely beating the shit out of Vicente Luque. I kind of disagree. Watch that Wonderboy versus Luque fight again. In the first round, Luque is landing some heat on Wonderboy. Who lands heat on Wonderboy in that first round? I feel like it never happens. Pettis didn't do it. Another guy who beat Wonderboy, Woodley, never really teed off on Wonderboy in that first round. He took ages to figure him out and read him. Then you look at Jorge Masvidal, did nothing in that first round against Wonderboy. Got tuned up there. Vicente Luque went out there and was kind of teeing off on Wonderboy in certain moments of that first round. I actually feel like I could have given him that first round against Wonderboy, but then Wonderboy had the big knockdowns in the second and third, and they kind of told the tale of the fight. Luque was taking a bit too much damage. Wonderboy started teeing off as the fight went on, but still, Luque had a real good performance. Then he beat Nico Price, looked really good there as well, looked patient, looked ready, had better head movement, was thinking of his shots a little bit better, was way less wild. Mike Perry as well, that was a close fight. Arguably it could have gone to Mike Perry, but that was pre-broken nose Mike Perry. Luque, I know a lot of people talk about taking people's chins. Luque took the nose of Mike Perry. Luque got Chinos, he literally got Mike Perry's nose that fight. And it was tough to watch that ending with the flying knee. I feel like you could have maybe given that fight to Mike Perry, but Mike Perry back then was a guy that went toe-to-toe with Santiago Ponzinibbio at the time, and that was when Ponzinibbio was on a streak, and momentum was hot on Ponzinibbio's side. He's taken a lot of time off now, but momentum was on Ponzinibbio's side in that fight, and Mike Perry looked somewhat okay against him. Didn't look impressive, but Mike Perry looked good against Luque. That's a decent performance from both guys. Luque didn't look the best in the world, but still, Luque's bounced back. Nico Price, Derek Krantz, not a great win, but still a win. Made it look easy in the first round. Had some adversity in that fight, fought back through it. I mean, it's a dangerous guy on short notice. They seem to be winning a lot recently. Bryan Barberena, Luque gets the fight done, shows that he's tough, shows that he can take punishment, shows us how tough he is. Then he beats Jarlin Turner, Chad Priest, Nico Price again, and then before that, Leon Edwards he loses to. Leon Edwards is going on to fight for the title soon. That's a real good loss to have on your resume. Bilal Muhammad, he beats. That's a really good win right now, looking at things, especially by KO in the first round. I feel like Luque's going to catch Randy Brown on the chin. Randy Brown's been KO'd by Nico Price. Yeah, no. I just think he's going to get caught by Luque. Because Randy Brown, when you're facing a shorter opponent, and Luque does this well, he's good at throwing shots over his opponent's hands. And you saw that with Jarlin Turner. He stays in there, and he's looking when he's in the clinch, and he throws shots over the top. I feel like it just works against Randy Brown. Randy Brown, he doesn't quite have the volume and pressure that I need to see to beat a guy like Luque. I don't hold him to the same standard that I hold Leon Edwards to. I don't hold him as nearly anywhere near the same standard as I hold Wonderboy Thompson to. So I'm definitely going to be giving this one to Vicente Luque. And if he wins this one, great position. Maybe take on Santiago Ponzinibbio next. I just spat at the camera, by the way. Neil Magny versus Jeff Neal is going to be taking place soon. That takes both of those names off the table. I'd imagine it would only make sense to do Vicente Luque versus Santiago Ponzinibbio in South America once the world returns to normal in front of a Brazilian crowd. Do that shit. That would be amazing. Santiago Ponzinibbio from Argentina. Vicente Luque from America, but originally from Brazil. Great fight, great matchmaking. I feel like that should be what's next. Good opportunity for Vicente Luque. I'm assuming this is his last fight on his contract. I don't think he would have taken this if it wasn't his last fight on his contract, because if you don't know, Luque earns quite a pretty penny for himself. I believe he made 70 and... I don't even know what Luque makes, but he makes some decently good money on these cards. So if he wants to fight out his contract, one little step back against Randy Brown, although risky for his ranking spot, is good experience, good momentum gaining for when he moves on to the real challenges of the division. I don't want to overlook Randy Brown, but it's a hard prediction to make. You know, I don't see Randy Brown winning a decision. I don't see Luque letting that happen, because when Luque's down on points, he really does come for it, and I don't see Randy Brown being able to keep the beast at bay for 15 minutes. And I definitely don't see Randy Brown getting a finish. Even though he looked good against Wale Alves, I just don't relate those names together. Wale Alves, Mickey Gall, Eric Montano. I mean, Bryan Barberena's decent, don't get me wrong. But then I look at Luque's names. Nico Price, Mike Perry, Bryan Barberena as well. But like Nico Price again, Bilal Muhammad. Close fight with Leon Edwards where he did somewhat okay. He was competitive. Even with the loss to Wonderboy, I somewhat count that as more than I do for anything on Randy Brown's record, because Luque looked really good in that fight if you rewatch it. Good fights. Thank you for watching. I think that's a great matchup, and I'm glad that Luque took it, because activity is key to success in MMA. And also, another thing I didn't even mention, Randy Brown has not fought since when? November of 2019? You know, it's not the best in the world. Hasn't fought in this kind of situation before either, so has no Ultimate Fighter Ultimate Fighter experience to go into an empty, crowded arena and fight with no crowd. That's a really big thing that a lot of these Ultimate Fighter fighters seem to do really well with. They don't seem to be bothered by there not being a crowd. Luque has been on the Ultimate Fighter as well. He lost on the Ultimate Fighter. Who to, by the way? Let me check that right now. Exhibition match. Hayder Hassan. See, at a time, Hayder Hassan was a bit of a savage, but I remember a lot of people were looking at Hayder Hassan back then like, oh, this guy's going to be dangerous in the UFC, but Luque lost to him. I don't mind it. He won one fight on the Ultimate Fighter. That was when he was really, really young as well. Has the experience without a crowd. He's the younger guy. I just don't see Randy Brown getting it done. I really don't. Also, Luque's more active. Just fought against Nico Price in May. So he's going to be fresh. He's going to be ready. Randy Brown's going to be a little bit tentative in that first round, looking to keep Luque at bay. Luque's going to find the punch and put him out by first round KO. I think he gets it done. Like and subscribe, and if he does win, that Santiago Ponzinibbio fight would make an extreme level of sense. Or if he doesn't want to take that one, we'll see what Damian Maia's doing. Because everyone seems to, even Khamzat Chimaev's calling out Damian Maia now, and he's fucking ranked 65 on Tapology. So, you know, whatever. Everyone's calling out Damian Maia. I feel like the most sense would be a Brazilian versus a Brazilian in Luque versus Maia. Maybe Maia can pass the torch like he did with Gilbert Burns. You know, keep it in the community, Damian Maia. Pass it down to a Brazilian. Don't pass it down to no filthy Americans or anything. Maybe that's how Maia's brain is working right now. I don't see them making Damian Maia versus Diego Sanchez anytime soon. So I feel like if Luque wins, I'd call out Damian Maia. Respectfully, politely, mention for his retirement bout in Brazil in a main event or something with a great co-main underneath it. You got yourself a matchup. Luque versus Maia or Luque versus Ponzinibbio. And if Randy Brown wins, maybe we could do him versus Bilal Muhammad in a rematch to decide who gets a fight against a ranked opponent. Because if Randy Brown wins, he'll be ranked anyway. So maybe we just do that. If Randy Brown wins, Bilal gets the rematch against him because he beat him before, and that gives Bilal a route to the rankings as well. Fucking genius I am. Jesus Christ. Like and subscribe. Click that button there. Goodbye. What a fucking fun matchup. I think it's going to be a shutout performance, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a war. See you later.